Did you see Moneyball, the movie with Brad Pitt and Philip Seymour Hoffman? The movie was based on a book, Moneyball, The Art of Winning, an Unfair Game, about an Oakland baseball team and how they creatively use data to assemble a winning team despite their small budget. The book and the movie have been a catalyst for the use of data in football. Of course, the game of football is still all about creativity. Ultimately, tactics and technical skills make the difference. But every game, every training session even, generates a world of data. Not just related to the game, but for instance also to health. Just like in insurance, technology is completely transforming the way the top squads train and compete. And win. FC Barcelona is leading the way, and they even take it a step further. They created the Barça Innovation Hub, the home of sports knowledge and innovation. And their partners include, among many others, Allianz and Barcelona Health Hub. Barcelona Health Hub is a worldwide leader in promoting innovation in digital health, linking startups, health organizations, corporations and investors. We are honored to have Albert Mundet, FC Barcelona's director of the Barça Innovation Hub, here on our stage. He will be joined by Cristian Pascual, president of Barcelona Health Hub. Give Albert and Cristian a big hand.
Moneyball, data, Barcelona is leading the way. And at some point, Barcelona decided to create the Barça Innovation Hub. Can you tell us why?
Well, that was back in 2017, almost 6 years ago. And the key idea was to develop a department at that time that was able to to leverage all the knowledge that the club had, but also to apply it to improve the operations of the club from an innovation perspective, but also to have an impact into the sports industry and even beyond, no? to other industries that intersect with the sports.
So it was really a strategic initiative.
It was, and the fact that has been kind of a success in the last 6 years. It's been also the strategy that we put in place back at that time, it feels like it was the right one.
And why did they actually position it as a separate entity?
Well, that happened 3 months ago, so which has been quite interesting road. We started as a department in order to get closer to the business units and be able to do a lot of buy-in from different kind of projects that we were able to implement as an innovation department, right? And right now we created a separate entity to improve, I would say, the speed of how we develop projects, internal bureaucracies, processes, but also have the ability to invest with the startups that was not possible under the FC Barcelona umbrella, which is, by the way, an association from the promotion of sports.
So on the one hand, it was because speed that is necessary, and you always have the challenge of getting into speed, working together with the incumbent. And on the other hand, it was about a new business model, which sort of requires a certain degree of freedom.
Yeah, this is one of the challenges when you develop innovation. I feel like it's trying to find the sweet spot in between being close to the business units to understand the challenges that they face, but not too close that you get trapped in the day-to-day operations, and having enough freedom, but not too far, because then you are the only crazy one that doesn't have impact internally, right?
Then you get lost. So what areas of innovation are you really focusing on?
Well, we always try to think of sports industry as two final main users, fans and athletes, right? Of course, then there are infrastructure, facility management that are part of the whole operations of a sports club. But if we think of these two type of final users, we have everything that surrounds athletes, and here we can think of health and wellness. That's why we work closely with Barcelona Health Hub, but also sports analytics. Also, everything that has to do with sports medicine, nutrition, all that surrounds kind of the sports science surrounding the athlete. And then on a fan perspective, we try to separate the two focus areas, one on a digital space, another one on the venue space, right? And how we're able to create new experiences, create new ways to have a relationship with our club that we're able to grow in the next years as a B2C company, right?
And how do you do that in practice? What are your sort of activities that you do?
Well, we kind of operate a unit that have four main activities. We have two, and that's, I think it's one of pretty unique case in how we develop innovation. We are a kind of a startup within FC Barcelona. We created a unit that actually leverages knowledge, again, to think of a long-term basis. So we have research and development, so we invest resources to create potential IPs that at some point can be licensed out. We also invest in startups that potentially will grow in the next years, and that's also a part of the strategy of how we can transform the club as well. As soon as we invest in a startup, we have even more, even though there is a potential financial return on that, there is also a driver which how this company can be integrated in the club. And then we have two types of operations that kind of sustain Barça Innovation Hub as a self-sustainable unit. One is everything that has to do all businesses related to knowledge, which is education, and also even some professional services to other clubs. And then we also organize different congresses and events.
But looking at the scale on what you do things, you mentioned, for instance, the courses which deliver the money to get us to a sustainable business model. Can you put some numbers behind that? So, for instance, how many students did you have over the last years?
We've been quite impressive to see how many people in the world wants to get trained with Barça. We have over 40,000 students that went.
40,000.
40,000 in 6 years, and that from 165 different countries, right?
Wow.
So this vision of democratizing sports knowledge has been one of the main focus on that, and at the same time generate resources to invest in a long-term projects for the club.
So, but like getting to so many countries in such a short term, that must have required partnerships probably.
Definitely, and that has been one of the key aspects of it, understanding that we wanted to have a core team but not too big, and then rely on external partners that have industry expertise, in that case in the e-learning business, let's put it this way, and try to work with them and bring or leverage their expertise in that sector, leverage our brand, our capacity to build this content in the sports knowledge, and then jointly create this platform for the whole world.
But I think that the most important thing that you leverage is the data that you have. Can you give an idea on the enormous amount of data that is generated at the club throughout the day?
Well, again, coming back to these two type of final users, fans, we have 400 million followers on our social media. Then that how when we come back to our internal databases is a little bit less, because at the end of the day, the fans that we have on social media, we have to go through the platforms, but then we have our own channels as well, our website. We're creating more and more engaging tools to have a direct conversation with them. And then on the athlete side, of course, we have a bunch of different type of sources that we have been tracking our athletes for more than, right now, 10 years. So imagine yourself 2,000 athletes per year with the changing that we have every season for every single vertical, for injuries, external load, which is physical condition, nutrition aspect. So it's quite a nice lab for developing stuff.
I can imagine. Now, since Moneyball got popular, data is being used more often, but I see sort of a acceleration because of AI. Is that something that makes sense?
Well, AI is coming, of course, not only in sports, everywhere in the world. And sports has been, well, in the last 5 years, I would say, we are seeing, in terms of, especially on tactical analysis, so we are seeing that the type of data that we're getting are getting more robust, and it's being extended, especially on tracking data, which basically 25 times per second, the 22 players and the ball. And from that, we have 3.5 million data points per match, then multiply it for one league plus all the leagues that you can get. And on top of that, you can start building models on collective behavior, right? Which is something that is pretty new. Traditionally, coaches had this experience-based analytics, and right now we are really creating models that resonate with the questions that they have, right?
So what you see taking place is the fact that you can actually see the player in context of the game, of the tactics. That's making the difference thanks to AI.
Definitely. So there are many type of different new concepts, like creative superiority, which is kind of holistic concept, which in the end is how we can contextualize specific behavior, collective behavior, based on the decision that every single player do in one frame, 25 times per second. You can even start modeling what you can expect from that specific scene of a play, right? So it's challenging, it's becoming fascinating. So let's see how it evolves.
When I started playing, at the lowest league possible, it was all about just intuition. So how do players react on the use of data when they get that data from the club? What do you actually do with that?
Well, it depends on, at the end of the day, humans and everyone has his own personality, but if I have to spot a trend, I have to say that the younger they are, the more open to use data for their own kind of self-training. And then there is a concept which is you have to learn how you can communicate this data. So you don't want to have dashboards with them. You want to have data that then can be applied into a video game, and then that video is going to be a real good tool to showcase what the data is trying to spot there.
Now this player, he is actually living in the village next to where I was raised. How is he dealing with data? Can you share that? Or
He likes it. He likes it. He likes it. It's one of the ones that he's young and he really likes it, to be honest.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Anyway, the club is also building a new stadium, and I can imagine that will also provide great sources of data. Can you share a bit about that? What you're planning in terms of technology and data in that new stadium?
Yeah. So Espai Barça is one of the key strategic projects of the club. Definitely, we're building the biggest stadium in Europe inside of a city. It's going to be a landmark for Barcelona, and on top of that, we are creating a layer of technology that is quite interesting, quite fascinating. We already started. Actually, we already built a digital twin of the stadium, the current stadium, as a pilot, so that we can apply it on the next stadium with the idea that we can aggregate data from our fans, how they move surrounding the stadium, and create models that can predict, based on different contingencies, what's going to happen. And these have applications into not only to commercial purposes, but also more to efficiency our maintenance, also the operations of the stadium. So it's going to be a way to actually predict a lot of things that can happen into our stadium.
So the big idea is really to create the next level of stadium experience and fan engagement, right?
And let me point one thing, that we created that with a partner, Barcelona Supercomputing Center, which is one of the more powerful supercomputers in Europe. It's based in 1 kilometer away from Camp Nou, and that has been a truly great example of how Barça can collaborate with research institutions and how we create something that creates impact, not only at FC Barcelona level, but also at the sports industry level.
Partnership as a success factor.
Yeah.
A big idea, I really like the big idea behind Barcelona Health Hub, but Cristian, can you explain what the big idea is?
Well, I think it's pretty easy. As I also run my startup in digital health, we saw and faced the problems to evolve and reach the patients. So the idea behind is to put together the community to ease the path for the startups that come now to the market and want to be successful in digital health. So we put together just the ecosystem and try to make the connections to ease their path to the patient.
We were actually one of your first partners already quite some time ago. One of the reasons, of course, was this building, and we immediately moved our Barcelona offices to this great environment. Can you share a bit more about what it is actually, sort of the roots of the Barcelona Health Hub?
So, well, yeah, I think you pointed well, and thank you again for joining us at the beginning. That was a key moment in the evolution of Barcelona Health Hub. But I think that the place that we choose has become also a great help for the storytelling and also for all the startups that work there. And we live every day in an environment that it's not only incredible in the sense of being a UNESCO heritage place, but also on the storytelling part of it, because this is the old hospital, 100 years old, and now from this old hospital we're making the healthcare of the future. So it's a nice place and helps on the storytelling.
The story obviously resonates, because when we first got involved with the Barcelona Health Hub. I think you had around like 50 members already in a few months though, but can you sort of share how many you currently already have?
So in fact, when we started the association, we were 6 startups. That was the initial start, September 2018. Today we have more than 460 organizations.
460?
60 in the ecosystem. Has been incredible. It's been, well, I think that we just started something that there was a real need for this to happen, and that's part of the success. Also, the location helped, and also the team. Some of them are here that made a great job every day building this community.
I looked through those partners, those 460 partners, and I noticed big pharma, tech providers, all sorts of specialists in niche players, even genomics, but also around 20 insurance companies. Can you share why they actually partnered with you, with the Barcelona Health Hub?
Sure, I think that's an important angle because, of course, we like to connect, as I said, the startups with the corporations that, in fact, are ruling the market and have the access to the patient. So it's really important for the corporations also to keep an eye on what are these innovations and how they can fit them into their value proposition. And I see a lot of startups that are succeeding in this field and doing a great job partnering these organizations already.
When I look through the tech firms, I also see, of course, they're all digital, but they're also more about AI than ever before. So having such a close watch on everything that's taking place within your community, what would you say are the biggest trends that you see?
Well, I think AI and telemedicine are the 2 technologies that have a broader impact in digital health. But AI, as Albert said, it's impacting everything. And it's maybe the most disruptive technology that we will see, has so many applications in so many ways in healthcare that for sure we'll see more and more coming. And generating more value in a time that it's needed because we are facing a lack of physicians. And that's a global problem that we have today.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Now, I think that tapping into that, the founder of Sun Technologies said that 60% of the activities of a physician can be replaced by AI. What is your take on that?
So I like very much what Vinod Khosla said at that time because it was tough to say at that time. Maybe it's more easier today. I had the chance to visit twice the office of Vinod Khosla in Silicon Valley and to talk to him. So I really appreciate his contribution. But I really believe that AI has come to help professionals to do a better job and to get rid of the more, let's say, boring things that they do at first. So I don't think that AI is coming to substitute doctors in any way. In the opposite, it will free a lot of time for them to look at the eyes of the patient, which is what they need, and to also focus in the job that they like. So I think it's coming to help.
Now, Albert, you also mentioned that a lot of the data that is gathered among the players of the club relates to health and to injuries. Can you share a bit about how it is being used?
Well, at the end of the day, it's how we are able to cross different sources of data, right? The mechanical stress that players have when they play and train, the potential, even psychological stress, nutrition that they get, and then how you can cross that with certain biomarkers that you can find, and then how you can prevent when a player is on a dangerous situation to get an injury, right? Especially muscle and tendon injuries that are 50% of all injuries and that are the ones that can be trained. You have a contact injury, it's difficult to prevent, but the muscle and tendon, definitely there is something there that we can improve.
Are you also looking at cognitive skills?
Yeah, it's challenging. It's not easy. Brain is complex, but yeah, it's one of the main. It's one of the main aspects that in the next 5 years definitely is going to be one of our focus.
So there's a clear relationship between how people think and how they play.
Yeah.
But you don't want to say anymore. Okay. Well, there's this nice project that you're already doing with Allianz regarding sleep. Is that something that you could share a bit about?
Actually, I like to say that Allianz was the first company, the first sponsors that we had at Barça Innovation Hub. So I always tell that story because it's an insurance company kind of sponsoring a project on sports and innovation, and that was really important for us back at the time. So with Allianz, what we did is a project. They helped us to build a project on the wellness world, basically trying for the first time monitor our young kids, the sleep quality of our young kids in La Masia, and try to create a sort of a recommendation tool for them based on the quality and quantity of sleep that they get. We scouted a startup, Exoskin, back at the time. That was the tool that we used. And actually, Allianz was able to also promote themselves as a key sponsor for that. But also, Allianz X, back at the time, was able to have a potential investment in that company when we were actually developing that project. So that was a success case in terms of research, in terms of how Allianz was able to create a good synergy from a marketing standpoint with Barça Innovation Hub. And for us, was a way also to, for the first time, track our athletes better.
I think it's also a very nice example of how innovation can take place in the triangle of sports, health and insurance.
Definitely.
Going to you, what kind of other things do you envision if you look at that triangle of sports, insurance and health? What can we expect? What is your dream?
I don't know if I have a specific dream in that triangle, but for sure there will be things happening there because there is a lot to happen in health, for sure. I know that by a fact. Insurers also, they are evolving, but still a long run. And sports, well, I mean, anything that can be improved. So I think, of course, we'll see a lot there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you.